Good evening. Good evening, Lamai. Do you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Right. So it's time. The given time is 7 to 9. We have about 10 participants. Of course, I really don't know the exact number that has registered. Never mind. I believe we can start. So, for your identification, I will keep my video on camera on for some time, and then thereafter, I too wish to close the camera. So our module here today, we are going to discuss educational measurement and evaluation. I know that some of you may have some experience about this module. I will try to share this with you. The module descriptor with you. Right. It takes some time to open the document, so let the document open. And my name is Rohan Anatunga. I believe that some of you must have met me earlier. If any of you joined that your pre-examination discussion we had for 2 days, you should have met me. And some of you must have studied under me. I can see some familiar names also here. Right, good. So my permanent job is that I work as a lecturer at Paston International College of Education. My main subject is English, and then in addition to that, I handle educational measurement and evaluation, then PLT methodology. With the Apax University, I have handled educational guidance and counseling also. Right, yes, that's about me. I have about more than 20 years experience in the teaching field. Started my career as a teacher like you all. I believe all of you are teachers. Worked as a teacher for 12 years and thereafter, now another 12 years as a teacher educator. And I have worked with all these government institutions related to education, NIE, Ministry of Education, and then the examination department, and still I am working with them. I'm always a part of this syllabus revision from the year after year 2002. All these syllabus revisions, I work with the NIE for those syllabus revisions. Right, briefly, that's briefly about me. So I hope that everybody will open their mics and speak. Students who have learned from me know that I prefer discussion method rather than mere lecturing. So I expect that those who are familiar with my teaching style, at least they will switch on the mics once in a while and talk to me. If there are any questions you can ask, you can respond to the questions I ask also. Right, that's our document. It takes a lot of time to open. Let me try a different method. Right, working with these computers is quite annoying at times. They take a lot of time to open documents. I'm trying again. Right, so this time we are okay. So let me share this screen. All right, may I know whether the screen is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. We are going to talk about educational measurement and evaluation. This is the university document. I believe that you have got this document with you. This is what we are going to discuss first. Right. I'll be giving you simple activities also during the lecture. So you can do these activities, simple answers in point form. You can type them in the chat box, or you can write your answers in a piece of paper. Take a photo of it and add it to the chat. And we will build our discussion based on these questions and answers. Right. Let's start this. So your document, and I am going to discuss beyond this document. I believe we have around 15 participants now, so we can start our lecture, the formal lecture now. We start here with the evaluation in education. Right? So you can see it says most of the teachers and students think that evaluation is a process which provides grades and certificates. But it should be understood that evaluation is a concept which has a depth meaning, or a meaning in deep. As a deep meaning, I would prefer the word deep to depth, which has a deep meaning. Yes, so you also must have thought that evaluation, when we say evaluation, it is something like giving a test to students, giving them some marks, and based on the marks giving a grade like A, B, C, no, sorry, A, B, C, S, F, or W. And finally, allowing them move to the next grade or next level, like from O level to A level, or selecting to another course, right? But our document says that it's far deeper than that. So let's see what is involved, or what more is involved there. Limiting evaluation to the tests only is negligence of the service provided by the evaluation to the learning teaching process. But evaluation performs a great service to the learning teaching process. Teachers and students who involved in the learning teaching process utilizing curriculum, textbooks, and learning aids to achieve the accepted goals and objectives. Teachers and students who involved in the learning teaching process utilizing curriculum, textbooks, and learning aids to achieve the accepted goals and objectives. Evaluation is a process which examines the way of achieving the goals and objectives systematically, right? Okay, so finally it tells us what evaluation is. Evaluation is a process which examines the way of achieving the goals and objectives systematically. So in other words, evaluation eventually tells us whether we have been able to achieve our targets, our objectives. Now, for example, if the student's objective to study in a subject, a particular subject, let's say mathematics, is to get an A pass, or at the O levels, if the student's target is to be qualified to study in the physical science stream, in the math stream. So at the end of the O level, they will get that idea whether they have been successful in achieving that objective or whether they have failed, right? So the first thing is that if one wants to follow the mathematics side or the physical science stream, the first basic requirement is that they should have passed the subject, right? The evaluation will tell them whether they have passed or failed. And in most of the schools, if you want to, because there's high competition in the A levels, in most of the schools, you need to take an A pass for mathematics in order to be qualified to study in physical science stream. So once the O-level result is out, the student will find out whether he has been able to achieve that goal or the objective. And it tells us the teachers and the others also how far they have been able to achieve their objectives. The teachers and the schools, the school principal may have different objectives. Like they might need to have 100% pass rate in the mathematics subject. So by analyzing the final results, they will say, oh, we haven't been able to do that. This time it is only 65%, 75%, 80%, like that. And some may want this number of A's in the school. Last year we had 20 A's, so this time we want 30 A's. And the teachers will be overwhelmed if they see that now this time we have 35 A's. So how far you have been able to achieve the objectives, or how far you have been able to achieve the final goal of education. That is determined in the evaluation, right? Based on that judgment, then you go to other conclusions regarding educational evaluation. Right. So the first subtopic we have is the importance of evaluation, right? Before we discuss the importance of evaluation, I want to know, now we have about 15 participants with me. Are you all teachers? Can you speak up or like raise your hand or send me a chat if you are not a teacher? right? Since it is educational measurement and evaluation, and the degree is Bachelor of Education, I believe that all are teachers. Right, next. What's your experience in teaching profession? No harm, you can speak. I know that some of you have just passed out of the colleges of education, right? Completed the internship year. I have got one answer. Let me see that. I'm sorry, I got stuck. Right, so let me close my video. Right, so we have ICT teachers with us. Right, hope you still hear me.
Yes, sir. Can hear.
Right, yes, because time to time I get stuck. Earlier teachers, we have ICT, 2 years experience. Good. Right. Yes, messages are coming good. 3 years, mathematics, right. That's good. So we have a variety of subjects with us, not only English teachers, the other subject teachers. A range of experience, maybe 5 to the just beginning teachers, right? All right. Thank you for your responses. And now, so this says about the importance of evaluation, right? For the moment, let's think that evaluation is conducting a test, right? For the moment, but it goes beyond that, you know. Right? So it's like conducting a test and giving test results to students and then displaying the results in the school, submitting a result report to the principal, and summarizing all these results of the school and sending them to the zonal department, right? So let's believe that is evaluation, right? Or conducting a national level examination and releasing the results, right? That's evaluation. If that is evaluation, right, what importance is this evaluation to the people who have been mentioned here? See that we have mentioned several groups of people here under 1.1: teachers, students, educational managers, policymakers, researchers, and school community, right? So teachers, we know we are the teachers. Now think from your side and decide what uses you will have from these evaluation results, right? Okay, quickly just add 1 or 2 words to your chat box. That is enough. Just type 1 or 2 points, just 1 point. What is the basic use for you? Evaluation. Let me understand your level of understanding about this.
Good evening, sir. This is Tharani. Can I talk?
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So earlier I couldn't respond you because there's a power failure in our area.
Mhm,
So I'm a teacher. I have
mhm,
5 years experience as a maths teacher in
mhm,
international school.
mhm.
And for the answer of your question, evaluations can help us to improve our curriculum.
Okay, right. Now that's an interesting answer. So let me know now. You are working in an international school. So
Yes.
are you in a capacity to change your curriculum in the school?
No, actually, sir, always our department heads and our superiors are evaluating the exam papers and our lesson plans and everything. After the exams only, they are always trying to change the not the whole subject and the areas, but some areas the way teachers can teach them, like
Okay,
more practical ways they are going to put to the curriculums. Those
right,
kind of things I mean.
right, right, Tharani. Now you said that the decision to change the curriculum is not taken by you,
Yes.
right? Yes. So the group of people you mentioned, they are somewhere below here, like it's educational managers.
Hmm.
Yes, according to what you said, what I understand, the group of people who have that ability of changing your curriculum is the educational managers in your sector, right?
Mhm.
So let's say that that's a use for educational managers, right? What directly, like what's the direct use we have as teachers?
We can get a judgmental about the students.
Yes, so that's one, right? We can have a judgment about our student performance, right? Let's move to some other answers. I have got some answers here. We can get to know how far students have understood what we taught. Good. To measure my strengths and weaknesses. Yes, that's good. That is to measure the strengths and weaknesses of the teacher. Teacher can find out how far the teacher is successful, how far the teacher has been successful, and how effective is the teaching learning teaching methods the teacher is applying, right? Yes, as well as students. Yes, students' strengths and weaknesses we can identify. Uh, Based on the data, as teachers, we can identify level of students working within, working towards, and working above. Yes, so that means the level of the students. So we can adapt best methods to cater to them. Good. We can measure students' achievement, right? Yes, all these are like most of these are achievement tests. We can find out the level of their achievement. Good, all good answers, right? Thank you. Mm. Now that's teachers. And I received some answers related to students also, right? The students themselves can find out their success, how far they have been successful in learning the subject content, how far they have been able to achieve their objectives in learning. Then they can also find out their strengths and weaknesses. And educational managers. Now, who are these people? Educational managers. Where are they? How can we meet them? Where do they work? Educational managers. Nice that we have teachers from both sectors, several sectors, from the government and private schools, international schools. There may be semi-governmental school teachers, right? Educational managers are the leaders. So we can put the principal into that category, right? And then if we take the government sector, the directors working in these divisional officers, then zonal officers, and provincial, then even the line ministry, the Ministry of Education, all those are educational managers, right? And in the private and the international sector, the stakeholders, those who spend, those who invest money, they become the educational managers. There can be school directors or rectors, school managers, including the principals. So they all become educational managers. What use is this evaluation result for them? One is that curriculum, they can decide, they can take certain decisions about the curriculum, and they can take decisions about the approach they should use in the classroom, learning teaching methods, learning teaching approaches. And they make decisions about the teachers also. Right, now we have another group of people, policy makers. Who are they? Policy makers, where are those people living? Any idea about them? Right. In some cases, the policymakers can be the curriculum developers also. And on the other hand, those who decide the learning or let's say the goals of education, right? In the government sector, it's the government, right? The parliament, members of the parliament, the ministers, they decide because they have the government policies. Based on the government policies, they decide what kind of education should be given to the students in the country, right? Now, in some cases, this can be rather dangerous. So we should not comment a lot about the political arena. So therefore, but that's the scenario here, right? In government sector, it's the government. They are the policymakers. So the government, of course, the ministers and the others, they may not decide on the policies, but they will appoint a certain group of people. They believe as the qualified people to set the educational policies. They will appoint a group of people, and on behalf of the government, these appointed panels will decide on the policies, educational policies. We have a body called National Education Commission in Sri Lanka. For the general education, they are the policymakers, and then in some cases, the National Institute of Education and even the Ministry of Education join hands with them in making the policies, national policies of education, right? Private and international sector, that's basically the director board and the investors, managers. They are the policymakers. So they will decide now even in these universities, right? There's a particular board that decide the type of degree they would offer, right? They will find out about the results of the students, the evaluation and the national results and the student behavior, the demand among the students. Based on all these factors, they decide the kind of courses they would offer to the public. Then we have researchers. Researchers, of course, even the class teacher, the teacher in the classroom should become a researcher, classroom researcher. The results or the evaluation is important for researchers, again, to find out so many things about the education process, system of education. They will research about different aspects of the general education and even the tertiary university education. And in many of these researches, the results we gather through evaluation will be helpful. And the school community. School community includes the parents, those who wish to send their children to the school. They judge about the school through the evaluation results, right? They will observe what type of results are recorded by the school for several years and decide whether to send the child to that school or not. There is same with the government schools and the other sector schools. Right. So you can see some points regarding the uses of evaluation to teachers and the other sectors. Have you received this document?
Yes, sir.
Good. Then you can read it leisurely, right? So quickly, you can go through this: to what extent do the students possess the knowledge and abilities, how to plan the teaching to achieve learning outcomes, what are the appropriate teaching methods, what are the learning difficulties of students, why do the students have learning difficulties. Some students, at the end of my teaching, what extent that my students have achieved, which grades should be assigned to each student. Yes, so based on the results, the teacher will decide, right, whether I give A pass, B pass, and the percentage of passes you can give. Now if the percentage of particular number of passes is a kind of set thing, like you don't change it every year, then you will have to change the cutoff mark. So all these decisions can be taken based on the results. How and what should be told to the parents about the progress of the children, effectiveness of teaching, whether there are any weaknesses in the learning teaching approaches, right? And from the students' side, they can understand their level of achievement, can compare their own achievement with the peers. Not a very good approach anyway. Motivation is there, creates an impact on how learning occurs. Tests and evaluation direct students to their learning, right? Good. And on the other hand, they can decide about their future learning, right? If especially if we focus our attention on these national level examinations like grade 5 scholarship, of course the grade 5 child or the grade 6 child cannot decide about their education. It is basically decided by our parents. But there are some other countries in the world that even the grade 2 child can decide about their education. For example, I heard that in Pakistan, about 20% of the children become dropouts at grade 2. They don't study, they don't go to school beyond grade 2. And these grade 2 students are capable of convincing to their parents that the government education is a failure. Smart children anyway. Because now our grade 2 children can never decide about their education. Because our parents do not discuss education with children. They themselves decide about child's education. Children's ideas are not taken into consideration at all until about they pass grade 10. Right. So if they have reached grade 10 and O level, by looking at their results, they can decide where they are moving after that, whether to stay in the school or to move some other place, like some go for vocational training courses. And now there's a trend that many of our O-level pass students leave the government school and enter a private university, follow a foundation course, and quickly after 1 year move to a degree, first degree, which is a good way, right? If you can afford, even though I am working in the government sector, I encourage that. Right, to curriculum designers, educational managers, researchers, and policymakers, all four groups. Appraisal of the education effectiveness of a curriculum, instructional materials, including textbooks, workbooks, etc., syllabus, documents, and procedures, help to develop the school curriculum. Right. Educational managers can focus their attention to weak areas of the learning teaching process and can plan professional development activities for teachers. I don't know whether it is happening in Sri Lanka. Researchers suggest measures for quality improvement by identifying the weaknesses and strengths of educational programs by using the evaluation. Through the assessment of the educational progress of a large population, through the assessment of the education, something is missing. Education progress of a large population so as to help understand education problems and develop novel policies in education. Right, good. School community, parents participate in the development of children's education according to the understanding of the evaluation. Knowing the achievement level of their children by parents for their educational and vocational planning. Right, good. So those are some of the uses. You can find more for all these groups. Right, that's the uses of evaluation. Right, this is where we should have really started. Anyway, let's see. Basic concepts are used in education. So there are here we have 4 basic concepts: assessment, test, measurement, and evaluation. Right. So I would like to start with this third concept, measurement. Right, because that's the first level. Even in assessment, assessment is the most common term now. That's what is accepted everywhere, right? Rather than evaluation. Evaluation is necessary, but before evaluation, assessment is the accepted process in education, right? Tests are tools we use for assessment and evaluation, right? Measurement is the basic information. So all these four concepts are interrelated. So let's first look at measurement. Let's see what measurement is. Do we have a definition here? Yes. The process of obtaining a numerical value with a description in which an individual possesses a particular characteristic is a measurement. Said by Lin and Miller in 2005. Measurement means that denoting the condition of an achievement or other characteristics using quantities. Example, Jayanta obtained 80 marks by solving 8 mathematical problems out of 10 correctly. So you can see numbers here. The measurement always, or the measurement result, always comes in numbers. We can't do measurement, we can't take measurements without numbers. We need numbers for that. Right, 80 marks by solving 8 mathematical problems out of 10. Even though this second part is not there, at least this should be there. Jayanta obtained 80 marks. Right. So we are going to discuss further about measurement. Right. In order to discuss more about measurement, I am going to stop sharing this one. Right. I would like to know your idea about measurement. Always remember this. A numerical value is necessary for measurement. Measurement is always giving a numerical value to something, some quality, some characteristic. It is giving a numerical value to a particular characteristic. That characteristic can be knowledge. That characteristic can be the ability to write. And that characteristic can be the ability to draw something, the ability to speak. Like that example we had, the ability to make calculations, make sums, do some mathematical functions. Right. So can you tell me some things, or can you send me some answers related to measurement, your understanding of measurement? How do you define measurement? What can you say about measurement? What did you understand by the word measurement? Can you quickly, if you would like to speak, you can speak, or you can send me a quick response in the chat.
It's information about the students' skills, knowledge in numerical way.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes. So that's getting information or showing or displaying information about students' skills, knowledge, and other abilities using numbers, numerical values. Yes. What about the others? What are your ideas? No more responses? Seems that many others are just digitally present.
Sir,
Yes.
measurement is comparing numerical values in simply the way I thought.
Okay. Right. Comparing. Well, we can add the word contrasting also, and then visualizing.
Okay.
Right. Numerical analysis on the performance of students. Thank you. Yes, that's also correct. A numerical analysis on the performance of students. All right, so we meet for 2 hours in the day. So I would like my students to involve in the lesson throughout these 2 hours. Right. Let me share another document about measurement, in which we can find some other definitions. Yes, educational measurement, definition and concept of educational measurement. If it is small, let me increase the size of this. It says, the term educational measurement refers to any device for the general study and practice of testing, scaling, and appraising the outcomes of educational process. It includes administration and scoring of tests. Now, this is important. You can see it includes administration and scoring of tests. For your level, that's a good definition. Scale construction, validation, and standardization, and application of statistical techniques in the interpretation of obtained measures. Another important step of measurement. statistical techniques in the interpretation of obtained measures or test results. So there also you can see it's statistical, right? Numbers and mathematical functions are involved. Yes, that is measurement, educational measurement, right? We have another definition of educational measurement. Educational measurement is the process of assigning numbers. Again, you can see assigning numbers to individuals or their characteristics according to specified rules, right? So it's assigning a number to a particular characteristic. Those are the basic concepts of measurement. Measurement requires the use of numbers, so it says again, numbers, but does not require the value judgments be made about the numbers obtained from the process. So we are coming to these value judgments later, right? So it's mere obtaining numbers, or here it's mere assigning numbers, giving some number. We measure achievement with a test by counting the number of test items a student answers correctly. And we use exactly the same rule to assign a number to the achievement of each student in the class. Measurements are useful for describing the amount of certain abilities that individuals have. I will share this one with Mr. Rizad. So Mr. Rizad will give this document to you, right? So no need of writing. If there's any additional information, additional points, you can make notes. I will send this document. For that reason, they represent useful information for the evaluation process. But can we measure all the important outcomes of our instructional effort? That's a good question. Can we measure all the important outcomes of our instructional efforts? What do you think? Can we measure all the aspects of our instructional effort? That means the instructional efforts means what we teach. Can we measure what we teach? Everything related to what we teach. We teach children knowledge. We give knowledge, mathematics, science, English, history, so many subjects. We teach them good habits, good attitudes. We teach them personality, like how to behave in places, the personality characteristics, how to develop that. We teach them different kinds of dress codes. We teach them good nutritional habits. We teach them how to go to a shop and buy things. Can we measure all these things? What's your idea? Can we measure all these? Just two options, yes or no. Can or can't?
We can't, sir.
We can't. Okay. So then what aspects can't we measure? What are the things that is difficult to measure? What are the things that is difficult to give a number?
Qualities.
Qualities. So people have qualities. Kindness, love, anger can also be a quality of people. Can we give a number to kindness?
No.
No. Difficult to give a number to kindness. Then how can we measure kindness? Because that's something we teach, and it can be one of our objectives, right? To help students develop kindness in them. Maybe an objective of the subject religion. Now we need to measure this. How can we measure that?
According to the students' behaviors and the way they socialize with the others.
Measurement is giving a number. So how can we give a number to that?
So actually, we can't measure them.
Yes. So then how can we find the success of our teaching? How can we find the level of achievement in our student?
From their behavior?
Yeah, that's correct. This answer is correct from their behavior, but I am expecting an exact answer. So where do you give the number? How do you give the number value? Which aspect of behavior? How do you give a number to this behavior?
The way they sit for the exams and all, I mean, like to gain the best result, their commitment for the studies and
Yeah.
how they
Okay.
interact with that.
Right. That answer we can accept. Like you give a question about kindness in the examination, and based on their answer, we give a number, right? But the answer we got earlier is that behavior. We give a mark to their behavior. So how can we give a mark? How can we give a number to their behavior? Is there a way that we can give a number to their behavior or not?
So by giving, by rating, like 1, 2, 3.
Yes, very good answer. Right. We can give a rate there, right? We call it, there's something called a scale, a Likert scale, right? We give a range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very kind, 5 marks. Averagely kind, 4 marks. Doesn't display any kindness or what's the opposite of kindness? Anger? No. Oh, some other thing, right? Neutral, right? Gets angry easily, not kind at all. Right. So we can give levels like that. And the other thing is we can have observations. We observe their behavior. You say that if the person is kind, treats their friends kindly. So we give a number, like we mark the number of times they display that behavior. So in that way, within 20 days, the child A has treated kindly to his or her friends 35 times. So then, as you said earlier, that's where we can compare and contrast, right? And say this is the most kind person in the class. Yes, it's difficult to give a direct number to some of these characteristics, but still we can quantify these behaviors, right? So whatever it is, if it is measurement, we have to find a way of giving a number to that characteristic, right? Let's look at the rest of this document. It says about evaluation. Okay, anyway, it's useful to read this. Education is an extensive, diverse, and complex enterprise, not only in terms of the achievement it seeks to develop, but also in terms of the means by which it seeks to develop them. That, in other words, its methodology. Our understanding of the nature and process of education is far from perfect. Hence, it is easy to agree that we do not know how to measure all important educational outcomes, right? So the outcomes like good behavior, attitudes, right? We don't know how to measure all those. But in principle, all important outcomes of education are measurable, right? So even the attitudes are measurable. We need to find the best approach for that. They may not even be measurable in principle using only a paper and pencil tests. That's not the way, right? You can measure them to a certain extent by a paper pencil test, but that's not the way. But if they are known to be important, they must be measurable, right? So that's where we need these observations, keeping records about their behavior. You can give questionnaires, conduct interviews with them, right? give an oral test. So many ways are there, right? So all those ways and means we are going to discuss later. To be important, an outcome of education must make an observable difference. So that's why we used to say earlier that education is change of behavior. And that behavior should be observable. We should be able to see that change of behavior in the learners. That is, at some time, under some circumstances, a person who has more of it must behave differently from a person who has less of it. If different degrees or amounts of an educational achievement never make any observable difference, what evidence can be found to show that it is in fact important? But if such differences can be observed, then the achievement is measurable. So if differences can be observed, like kindness, then the achievement is measurable. For all that measurement requires is verifiable observation of a more or less relationship, right? So we need to have this verifiable observation methods, right? Can integrity be measured? It can if variable differences in integrity can be observed among individuals. Can mother's love, let's make it mother's love, be measured? If observers can agree that a hen shows more mother love than a female trout, or that Mrs. A shows more love for her children than Mrs. B, then mother, it's better to make it mother's love, can be measured. Right. So there are ways that we can measure these behavior types, right? Scientists, psychologists have developed different measures regarding them. Okay. Let's go further on this discussion about measurement, right? So I told you that measurement is, let this document be there like that. Some of these points you may have to make notes. So please take a piece of paper and make some notes, because I haven't got any prepared note on this part. After this, I have some other notes. I will show it to you. But some of these aspects like that. Now I told you measurement is assigning a number, right? So let's first of all discuss measurement in general. Now, here all these definitions you see on this document, they are about educational measurement, right? Now, before we come to educational measurement, we have to discuss measurement in general. So measurement is giving a numerical value to a particular characteristic, right? So can some of you tell me what are the most common situations where we take measurement as human beings in our day-to-day life? What type of measurements you take? Those who are very reluctant to speak can quickly send me a chat, right? So keep your chat box open always and be ready to type answers. In what situations do you measure things?
Test.
Can you repeat that answer, please?
Term test.
I'm asking about the general life, our day-to-day life, like you live at home, you cook, and then you wash things, you take your meals. I have got answers from Ilma. We have weight, height. You measure your weight, you measure your height. Weight can be measured in kilograms, grams, and kilograms, right? If you are going to make a cake in the kitchen, you have your kitchen scale. So you measure the flour and butter, sugar, etc. Right? We measure liquids in liters and milliliters. Means how many liters of water you add, how many liters, how many milliliters of oil is necessary for that, something to prepare something. Yes, these are measurements, right? And what's the length of the cloth you need? So many measurements, right? Those measurements can be taken easily because we have instruments for that, right? If you want to measure weight, the scale is there, right? If you want to measure the height, there can be a ruler or something, right? If you want to measure the length of a cloth, there's a tape. So that's easy, right? If you want to measure the temperature, there's thermometer. If you want to measure the time, you have the chronometer or the wristwatch or watch clock. Some things can be measured quickly, right? Things that you can measure quickly are called direct measurements, right? This term is important. They are direct measurements. If you can physically take the measurement using an instrument, physical instrument, and it's a characteristic. The characteristic also physical, you can see it, right? There is direct measurement, or we call it physical measurement. Direct measurement or physical measurement. One special characteristic is that it is easy to measure. Right? You can directly measure it. Take the cloth, take the tape, and measure it. Right? And the other type of measurement is indirect measurement, or we call it mental measurement. Right. So think of an example for that. Give me a minute to answer this call. Okay, sorry for that. And you say weight of sadness. Yes. it's difficult to measure these qualities like sadness and even knowledge, right? Level of happiness, stress, working memory. Okay, right. Sorry, I need another few minutes, right? So please wait 2-3 minutes. There's some issue I want to handle, right? Okay, so you can also have a short water break of 2-3 minutes. I'm coming back. We are back. Yes, we say, I see some answers from Taranga. Taranga, I think. Level of happiness, stress, working memory, yes, right? There's no particular tool for measuring these things, right? We need to have some other kind of scales to measure these things. So level of happiness, if you want to see the happiness of a man to measure it, you will sometimes have to count the number of times the person smiles, laughs, right? There should be some other kind of way of giving a number to this. So because of that, we call these things indirect measurements. It's difficult to take the measurement directly. So these things are called mental measurements, right? So we have two different concepts, right? Direct and indirect measurement, direct measurement and indirect measurement. Similar terms for them are physical measurement and mental measurement, right? So those two concepts are also important. So remember them, you can make notes about them. Measurement in those ways, right? Direct, indirect, or physical and mental. Now, where are we? What is educational measurement? Is it a mental measurement or a physical measurement? Is it a direct measurement or an indirect measurement? What do you think? Can you directly measure the knowledge of a child? Can you directly measure the personality of a child? Can you directly measure the attitudes? Yes, go ahead.
It's a combination of both.
Combination of both. So what aspects are direct measurements? What aspects of education are direct?
So as a test, in case of like maths test, we have given 10 questions, they will answer for how many questions that they have answered correctly. And indirect like behavior, we can throw a scale or any action that we have measured throughout the duration of time, like in 1 hour, but how they have behaved in kindness activity or any other thing.
All right. Yes, that's your reading about educational measurement. Any other answers? Do we have any other answers? Right. Of course, actually, educational measurement is an indirect measurement. It's a mental measurement. Now that the case related to this giving a question paper and counting the number of answers, it's something like this. You can give 10 multiple choice questions and say, okay, this particular child has given 8 correct answers. So it's easy, like we can directly take that. But that's not the only type of questions we give in question papers. In some cases, we give essay type questions. So the question carries about 10 marks, right? Now we need to read a long answer. Based on the other characteristics of that answer, like we check the vocabulary of the students, the amount of information they have provided, and how they have provided the information, like the organization of that, and the grammar spelling of that essay, even the quality of handwriting. By considering all those things, we give an overall mark to the child. Out of 10, we give about 6. There it is not a kind of direct measurement, right? And it's, of course, we are not giving marks to the knowledge. We are giving the marks to the performance of the students. We are giving marks to the number of correct answers. The way the child has displayed the memory, the way the child has displayed his creativity. So it's not a kind of direct measurement. We can't see something called knowledge, and we can't keep a tool for knowledge and say that this is the amount of knowledge the child has. And this mark will be different according to the type of test we give. For example, you will give 10 multiple choice questions, right, from one particular area of the syllabus. And you give another 10 some other day, another 10 questions from a separate part, another part of the syllabus. And we don't know whether the child will get 8 marks again, right? But the other characteristics like weight, height, length, volume, etc., they don't change wherever you measure it, right? You take a barrel of liquid and take a liter out of it. So that liter is same everywhere, whoever measures it, right? And some other day, you take another liter out of it, the same barrel, and then it's again a liter. It doesn't change. Liter is liter, it doesn't change. But the students' knowledge, it changes from the type of question to question. You give 3 essay topics. Sorry, there was a sudden signal failure. Right. So about these different types of measurement, right? Direct and indirect measurement, or the physical and mental measurement. So we can't take these direct measurements for educational performance. So therefore, educational measurement belongs to indirect measurement or mental measurement. Right. Let's move to the next part of this lesson. Right now we have spoken about measurement. Now let's see the other concepts. Right. So let me share that your document again. A problem. Who is our host now? Right. Don't know whether the host is available. Is our host available? Hello? Right. Because I was disconnected.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's gone to the university host. Can I have sharing ability? All right, never mind. Let's continue. So I believe that you have that document with you, the document given to you. So we discussed about measurement there. I'm looking at page number 3 in that document. Please, if you have the document, you go through with it. So this next half an hour or so, let's look at this document. And if I got the host back, then I will try to share that document with you. Let me see. Still the host is, the university host is there. Let me see. Right, never mind. You look at the definition for test in your document. The definition says an instrument or systematic procedure used for measuring a sample of behaviors by posing a set of questions systematically is defined as a test. Test is a systematic evaluation method, right? Examples are school term test, aptitude test, etc. Now, not only them, right? There can be other types of tests also. Like there can be not only written tests, there can be oral tests. There can be practical tests. So many different types of tests are there, right? A test is actually it's a tool. It's an instrument that we use to measure knowledge, skills, and other aspects of education, right? So test is really the tool. The most common one is this pencil paper test that we usually conduct, right? Then one of the most important concepts, that is assessment. The definition we have for assessment is any of a variety of procedures used to obtain information about the student's performance is called as assessment. The various procedures of assessing students' achievement, including all written tests, laboratory tests, teachers' observations, students' self-records, make a coverage for the concept of assessment. Right, then we have some information about classroom assessment, right? Let it be there. Let's discuss a little now. Do you conduct, now I have some teachers here with 5 years, 4 years, 2 years experience. Do you conduct assessment in your classroom? Easy question, just say yes or no. I am not coming to your school to observe you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good, right? We conduct assessment, right? How often do you conduct assessment?
Sometimes monthly.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes.
And after that,
And positive answers, right? The others are also saying that they conduct assessment. Good. What's the difference?
Finish the lesson, sir.
Yes, by the end of the lesson, we can conduct it. Yes. Assessment is conducted by the end of the lesson, right? Good. Yes. So is there a difference between assessment and evaluation? Again, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, there's a difference. Now, our target is to find out the difference. What can be the difference? There's a difference in the purpose. Why we conduct assessment and why we conduct evaluation. Now we know why we conduct evaluation, right? When we want to give a grade to our students, when we want to find out the level of achievement they have, we have taught for them for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, like that. And at the end, we want to find out how much have they learned. So we conduct evaluation, right? By the end of the year, we want to see whether the students have got enough knowledge so that we can pass them to the next grade. Then we conduct evaluation and decide whether to send the child to the next year or whether to keep that child in the same year. That doesn't happen in Sri Lanka these days. Nowadays, we have given up that habit a long time ago. Now we have the 13-year continuous education program, right? So the students are moving to the next grade irrespective of their level of education, right? Because there are other issues like so many psychological issues and the dropout rate is high. To avoid those things, we have given up retaining the students in the same class. Instead, we are just sending them up, and finally they become dropouts at the end of the 10th year after the O-level examination, right? That's a different matter that should be discussed separately. So where are we? Assessment, right? The purpose is different, right? So we were discussing the purposes of evaluation. When you want to find out the level of the achievement of the children, we give a test and make a judgment. That's evaluation. If you want to pass the child to the next grade to find out whether it is okay, right? Evaluation. When you want to give a certificate to the children, conduct a test at the end of the course, give a certificate, decide whether to give a certificate or not. Judgment, that is evaluation. And then you give the quality of the certificate, quality of the grade, whether to label the child as A grade child, whether to label the learner as B grade, C grade achievement, right? Weak achievement, weak in achievement, right? That's evaluation. You want to select them to follow a different course, a higher course of study, again evaluation, right? Want to see whether they can follow A-level course, conduct an examination, do evaluation, right? Decide which stream they are capable of, again evaluation. Based on the type of result, you say, these children are okay, they can go for the science stream, the math stream, technology stream, commerce. So you are the weakest performer, so you better study art stream. Selection for a job, give an examination, give a judgment, evaluation, conduct an interview, give a practical test, and select, right? So those are the purposes of evaluation. What's the purpose of assessment then?
It's like often updating or refreshing the knowledge.
Yes, thank you for that answer, right? We want to refresh the knowledge. We want to update the knowledge of the students. Yes, that is assessment. We conduct assessment.
How far they got the lesson?
Yes. One part is that we want to know how far they have understood the lesson. And do you stop it there? Once you have understood how far they have learned, or how far they have been able to catch from that lesson, do you stop there? For example, we conduct the O-level examination, decide how many students have passed, how many students have failed, right? Now, some students have failed mathematics because they are not good in mathematics. They haven't learned it well, right? For several years, like 4, 5 years, maybe 6, 7 years. Is there anything that we can do about that now? They couldn't catch the basic concepts of mathematics. After 10 years, is there anything that we can do? I don't think that we can do anything, right? What we can do is just guide them to some other area that they can manage with the available knowledge and skills. But in the classroom, you conduct a simple test just after the lesson to see about 50% of the students haven't caught what I taught them. Is there anything you can do now?
Yeah.
Yes. What can we do? Any suggestions?
Feedback them.
Yes, feedback. Okay, let's go further. What type of feedback can we give them?
We can make them ready for the evaluations through the assessments.
That means the final evaluation.
Yeah, that means.
Oh, okay, right. Now we understood that they have learned only 50%, right? Now, how can we make them ready for that final evaluation and help them get more marks?
We can prepare some special worksheets.
Okay. So in other words, we try a special way of teaching with them, right? Because right at the end of the lesson, we have understood that now for this particular lesson, the regular teaching learning method I used has not been very successful because they have learned only 50%. Now there's another 50% remaining. So we try a new method, a different approach. As you said, we believe that the worksheets were not working well. The particular type of activities we gave, they didn't work well. So we try another set of activities, right? So that's the purpose of assessment. We are doing assessment for that purpose, right? The purpose is that find out where did we go wrong, what's wrong, right? The finding out that, that's the purpose, and giving some solution. So the final target of evaluation is judgment. We just pass the judgment. Say good or bad, pass or fail, selected or not. That is done, right? But the purpose of assessment is improvement. Purpose of assessment is improvement. If you want to improve upon something, what should you find out? What should we find out?
The weaker areas.
Yes, we should identify the weaker areas. We should find out the weaknesses and strengths as well. If you know your strengths, you can improve on them. If you know your weaknesses, you can do something to reduce those weaknesses. Right? So that's the purpose of assessment. Assessment is for development, improvement. We try to find out the weaknesses and strengths. So these strengths and weaknesses can be there in the learners. Find out what is difficult for them, what is easy for them. What can they do easily, what can't they do? What do they find difficult to do, right? So then find a new method, novel approach for that. Find solutions, find remedies, do some remedial teaching. That's the purpose of assessment. Find out what's wrong in the learning teaching approach the teacher used. Find out the strengths and weaknesses of the teacher himself, herself. So then do something, right? Find out a better training course. See how the other people do it and try to catch some techniques and strategies from them. That's the purpose of assessment. Find out the useful and not so useful areas of the curriculum. What is very difficult for the children, the learners? What are the easy areas of the curriculum? So based on that, you change your approach. You change the time you dedicate for certain areas. If the particular part is easily understood by the students quickly, we pass through it quickly, right? If it's difficult, give them more activities, spend more time on that, simplify it, give more documents for them for their reference. So there can be so many other things that we can do, right? So that's the difference between assessment and evaluation. Evaluation is for judgment, making decisions. Assessment is improvement, improvement in every aspect, development of all, right? That's assessment. Right, so there are many ways of assessing students, right? For evaluation, the basic form we know is pencil paper test, giving a question paper, or conducting an interview, giving a practical test. What things can we suggest for assessment? One is that classroom test you give at the end of the lesson or at the end of the unit, etc. Right? What other things can we use for assessment? You can send your suggestions in the chat. There can be so many other methods. Let's say that you want to give a mark to your children, right? Other than a test, what are the other things you use to give them marks? Okay, I have got one. Yes.
We can let them to talk about relevant topics and do some debates or something, do
Yes.
presentations on it.
Good suggestion. Presentations, debates, discussions, panel discussions, right? Presentations can be PowerPoint presentations, posters.
Yeah.
Yes. Group activities. Yes, plan a game. Good one. Yes. Through games, we can assess them. Give them a drama, role play, singing. Take them on a field trip, field visit. Observe their behavior. Ask them to make a report. Give them a project. Other assignments.
Exhibition.
Can you repeat it, please?
Exhibition.
Exhibitions. Yes, very good. Yes, so there can be so many other items that adds variety, and then that motivates the students, right? It reduces inhibition. You know that I don't think that any student likes the testing environment. When you conduct an examination, it's a very strict environment, right? But you can conduct assessment freely. You can conduct assessment in a way that they enjoy it. They don't know that they are being tested. So that reduces inhibition. So they freely take part, right? In examinations, sometimes even the best child, the cleverest child may score low marks because of that environment. They don't like it. But in a free and confident environment, they will give their actual performance. So you can really measure their actual performance through assessment. Right. Yes, so those are some characteristics of assessment. Right. Our document says about classroom assessment. Classroom assessment can be defined as the collection, interpretation, and use of information to help teachers to make decisions, helping students for the development of the learning by finding about the student. Yes, so that's very important, finding about the student. This word is used as the school-based assessment. There's a process called SBA in our school system. I don't know how far well it is happening these days, but there used to be a system, and I believe that it is still there, SBA, school-based assessment, right? That's where we should shift to really. The new educational reforms has suggested, or rather have suggested, shifting more towards school-based assessment and giving more weightage to school-based assessment than the final examinations. So if that happens, and if it happens honestly in the school, then our students will learn enjoyably. More, they will enjoy learning more than today. Right, then assessment, I'm reading towards the last part of page number 3, is a continuous process. It happens in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the various occasions in the learning teaching process. It occurs intending to help students by finding them frequently by the teacher, right? And there's some note about educational evaluation also, right? This is a perfect word which covers the tests, measurement, assessment concepts, education means, assessment concepts. So we saw at the 4 concepts at the beginning, right? That was our basic discussion today. Tests, measurement, assessment, evaluation. So evaluation covers all these 3 concepts, right? Tests, measurements, assessment. We need tests for measuring to get results, numerical values. And without measurement, we can't find the level of students. So measurement is important for both assessment and evaluation, right? Once you conduct assessment continuously, that will help the final evaluation also, right? And evaluation helps you take judgments about the level of students, quality of teaching, and the success of the learning teaching process. So based on those judgments, after that we take other decisions about education. Evaluation means that making a judgment to the student on the basis of data interpreted by collecting in the uses of tests and other assessments. The classroom evaluation is a systematic process which the collection, interpretation of the information needed to know about the achievement level of students' learning objectives. Right, and it says evaluation is a judgment of the quality or worth of any set of purposes. Measurement is limited to a quantitative description, but evaluation may be a quantitative description or qualitative description or both ways of them, right? Example, Anupama won the reward assigned to the best pupil of the year. Is that quantitative or qualitative? I give two statements. One is that Anupama scored an aggregate of 956 marks in the examination. And she is the best performer in the class. Which statement is measurement? Which statement is, or let's say, which statement is quantitative? Which measurement, which statement is qualitative? Which statement speaks about
the statement with the marks is quantitative.
Yes. The other statement is qualitative.
Qualitative.
Yes, because the first one speaks about the quantity, number, right? Amount. That's quantitative. We can show a quantity or amount. Second one speaks about the quality. She's the best, right? That's the quality. That particular child is the weakest. So that statement is qualitative. Right, good. Now, the next one is we have types of evaluation procedures. So let's look at them also. Evaluation procedures, right? I think we have 4 evaluation procedures in this document. Yes, we have 4. The first one mentioned here as A is placement evaluation, right? The word itself suggests what it is, placement. Placement evaluation is an assessment method of students' entry performances, right? That means when the child is taken for the course or when the child is taken for the class, let's say they are taken to grade 1, right? So before you start teaching, you conduct a simple test with the child and try to understand the capabilities of the child. In that manner, you can decide the best approach to be used with that particular child. That examines that does the student possess the knowledge and skills needed to begin planned instructional program. It needs to examine the English ability available in the students before initiating an English course. Starting the course will be more effective by categorizing students according to the ability level using the results of the entry test. Now, this happens in many universities. You know that many universities and even the institutions like British Council, they conduct English courses for the learners. They give certificate courses of 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, etc.